No. I have a pair of biological parents who are extremely biased towards boys. I am the third child and have two older sisters. When I just learned to walk, my mother got pregnant again, and the fortune teller said that this time it was a boy. The two broken huts in the family were finally inherited by someone, so my father coaxed me into the deep mountains and forests and threw me away. Just when I was about to freeze to death and starve to death, a madman picked me up and took me back. From then on, I was taken care of by him like a baby. Many years later, I turned into a gold medal lawyer in a well-known law firm. But my biological parents shamelessly found me. I was going to sue them in court for all crimes. When I was 4 years old, my mother was pregnant. Someone told me that this time it was a boy. My father called me over and said to me in the most gentle tone, "Xiaoyan, I will take you to buy delicious food." At that time, I naively thought that as long as my father had a little brother, he would be happy. My father took me over the long hill. The cold wind blew my eyes. I didn't know why it was so far to buy delicious food. After walking for a long time, my father told me not to move and I would be back soon. I waited and waited. The sun was about to set. I felt unprecedented fear. On the top of the mountain, the roar of wild beasts accompanied by the whistling wind wrapped me up and ran back desperately, but I had long forgotten the way I came. Seeing a shadow swaying in the distance, I thought it must be a wild dog catching up with me, and I burst into tears. The shadow slowly approached. It was a woman. She looked at me stupidly and took a handful of fruit from her pocket and handed it to me. I was afraid and hungry, and I didn't dare to take it. She stuffed it into my hand and pulled me to stagger away. When we got home, a man smoked a pipe and looked at us coldly. The woman was crazy and I was in a mess. We stood together feeling sad and funny. "Where did you get the child?" The woman pointed to the hill over there. The man had no choice but to give him food first. In this way I was picked up by my parents. The villagers gradually started to gossip that Lao Ning had a stupid wife and picked up a girl. Their family had committed a sin. They were still young. Wouldn't it be better not to have their own baby? Lao Ning's wife was stupid. How could she dare to give birth? She was afraid that she would be a fool if she gave birth. If you ask me, Lao Ning is the one who can calculate. Now give them food and raise them up to get the betrothal gift back. The man asked me to call them father and mother. Dad said that if they were lost and their biological parents came to find them, it would not be too ugly to hear them called father and mother. After waiting for more than a month, no one came to look for me. At that moment, I clearly realized that I was abandoned by my biological parents. It is said that the eldest loves the youngest and the middle is the one who gets punched. Unfortunately, I am the one who gets punched. I thought that as long as I was obedient and sensible and didn't cause trouble for them, they would love me a little. But I thought I was wrong. Dad was surprisingly quiet and busy every day. Sometimes I didn't say a word to him for several days. In the spring, he had to help others plow the land. He carried the reins on his back and inserted the plow into the thick ground, turning the soil into neat gullies. I looked at him like a tireless old cow, going back and forth. In the autumn harvest season, he had to help others harvest millet. He was 50 cents for a bag of corn, and he had to carry hundreds of bags every day. He bent over little by little, his face turned red, and he carried the sack on his shoulders. Sometimes the owner was a few cents short in the settlement, and my father did not argue, but just took the money in silence. I was still young at that time and I knew what it meant to compromise. I just thought my father had a really good temper. I also had a lot of work to do. Every day I had to feed the chickens, pick firewood and peel corn, wash vegetables and cook, light a fire to heat the kong and wash clothes. This clothes was full of mud, and it was so heavy after drinking water that I had a hard time lifting it. The water by the river was freezing cold in winter, and I don't know how many chilblains I had on my hands. I don't know where my mother went to play every day, and she knew to come back when she was in good spirits. That day, I searched all over the hills and found my mother lying on the haystack with drooling. Her face was purple from the cold, and I don't know how she fell asleep. I pulled her hand and ran back quickly. "Mom, can you please let me be more careful? I have been looking for you for the whole afternoon. If you run again, I will let Dad lock you up." There were sweet potatoes cooking in the pot at home. I was anxious and made a loud noise. Mom was scared. She took out a few wrinkled fruits tremblingly and handed them to me. My Xiaoyun likes to eat them. My eyes were moist in an instant. It was winter, so there were no fruits. There were only a few that had not fallen from the trees, dry and shapeless. From then on, I took my mother with me. When I worked, my mother watched from the side. Sometimes I taught her a lesson, but she couldn't do it well, but I was very happy. One day when I went out, I met my biological parents. My biological mother was sitting on the front of the bicycle, holding a tightly wrapped baby, and my biological father was carrying her. I shouted loudly to my parents. They turned around and saw me, unable to hide their panic. They asked, "Where did this dead child come?" I went forward and grabbed the bicycle, still hoping to get a glimpse of them. My parents had a younger brother. Were they here to pick me up? My biological father pushed me to the ground and said, "You've got the wrong person." My father came back from work outside at this time. He had witnessed everything and knew it all. "Xiaoyun, let's go home." I followed my father back home, looking back every few steps. Later, I heard that my biological parents had a son, and the whole family was overjoyed. They held him in their mouths all day long for fear that he would melt, and in their hands for fear that he would break. My eldest sister dropped out of school right after graduating from elementary school, and went to a garment factory in the town. She was not even as tall as the clothes she left behind. She used all the money she earned to buy milk powder for her younger brother and sent it back. We happened to run into them that day because my younger brother was sick, and the two of them took him to the town for an injection. I suddenly remembered that I had a fever last winter, almost 40 degrees, and my biological mother was too lazy to even pour me a sip of water. She pushed me directly into the snow outside the house. I was shivering and couldn't even walk steadily. My eyelids were too heavy to open, and I whimpered softly, swallowed by the wind and snow, and suddenly the snow hit me and I screamed loudly, crying for my mother. "I'm cold, Mom, I beg you to save me." She seemed not to hear me and kept muttering, "I'm so annoyed. It's just a fever. I'll burn to death. I'm a money loser anyway. I'll go out and the fever will go down in a while." I smiled bitterly. It was obvious that I was not loved, but I realized it too late. Dad brought a bowl of rice and ate it quickly. He had done physical work all day and was already starving. Mom was not completely stupid. When she saw Dad finished eating, she immediately took the bowl of sweet rice. I poured the water I drew from the well outside into the big vat. This big vat was full of water for our daily use. I couldn't carry 2 buckets, so I could only carry them one by one. It took more than 10 trips back and forth each time to fill it up. Dad called me over and said, "Xiaoyun, come here, follow us, okay?" I didn't understand at that time. I had lived with my parents for so long, why did Dad ask me this? It was not until I grew up that I realized that Dad gave me a choice I chose and respected my parents enough. After thinking about it, I felt that my parents were good people. I nodded ignorantly and said, "I won't let you go hungry." My father slurped another mouthful of rice with satisfaction. "It's time to go to school. I'm 7 years old this year. I found the village cadres and they said that I should have a name when going to school. Xiaoyun, you should think about giving yourself a name." I didn't have a proper name at that time and I never thought about it. My father and mother could let me go to school. Even my eldest sister only graduated from elementary school. Girls of the same age in the village were all picking grass for pigs and collecting firewood. Only boys could go to school. "Dad, please give me a name." My father was silent for a long time. "How about calling me Ning Xiaoyun?" At that time my father and I were illiterate. In the autumn of the same year I was in the 1st grade. I had never been to preschool, so I found it particularly difficult to learn. I met my second sister at school. At first, she was afraid that I would rely on her, so she didn't dare to say hello to me when she saw me. Later, when she saw that I was too lazy to pay attention to her, she deliberately came to me to make me angry. "My parents didn't want you because you were too stupid. You couldn't even do addition and subtraction within 10. Yes, if you follow a madman, you will become a fool too. He spits at me and throws bugs at me, but I am not afraid of those things." I just stare at him coldly. "Your parents are good, your whole family is good. Look at your good parents, will they wait for you to graduate and then sell you for the bride price? You are just a puppy of your brother." He was stunned. I know my second sister too well, and know where the knife will hurt the most. My second sister has been smarter than me since she was a child, and my eldest sister is more stable than me. Only I am stupid and despised by them. After school every day, I would take stones and sticks to write and draw on the ground to go over what the teacher had said in my mind. I had no one to talk to, so I pulled my mother aside to watch, saying, "Mom, look, this is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division." My mother smiled foolishly and pointed to the small characters and said, "This is Xiao, it's Xiaoyun. She doesn't know anything about me, but he knows my name." Before going to school, I have to tell my mother every day that I'm leaving. "You can't run around, clean the house. I have already cut the vegetables for the chickens. You fell in the pen after breakfast. You've already after washing. Cook when Dad is coming back soon and wait for me to come back from school in the evening before cooking." Mom listened quietly, nodding and shaking her head from time to time. I don't know if she understood, but Mom really never ran out again. Something big happened at home. Mom was pregnant. Dad was so happy that he killed a chicken for the first time and put a chicken leg in each of my and Mom's bowls. But I felt vaguely uneasy because I had heard from the neighbors a long time ago. They joked with me with a smile. "Xiaoyun, she won't want you after your mother gives birth to a younger brother." That's not necessarily true. I heard that this madness is hereditary. What if a little fool is born? You can still count on Xiaoyun to support him in his old age. A fool is better than Xiaoyun. Your father is tired like a monkey every day, but he can't afford to support you guys. There are also bachelors coming up. Xiaoyun, follow me. I guarantee you will have delicious food and spicy drinks. I was so scared that I ran home. In fact, I was more worried that the child in Mom's belly would be as stupid as him. The grievance in my heart was so strong that I couldn't help but feel sad. I felt uncomfortable. Looking at the chicken legs in the bowl, I had a trace of appetite. Mother's mouth was full of oil. Why didn't she eat? Dad asked. Of course I didn't dare to eat. I was afraid and angry. I ran into the house and took out a stack of banknotes. "Mom and Dad, if you have a little brother, can you not send me away? I cannot go to school and I can also earn money. I heard from my classmates that the hawthorns in the back mountain are very valuable. It is difficult to use hawthorns as medicine in the city. On weekends I carry a basket to pick hawthorns. There are thorns on the hawthorn trees. When picking them you may prick your hand. I only picked about half a basket in half a day. I carried it to the drugstore in the town and sold it at 2 cents a pound. I saved a few dollars. Dad was stunned for a moment, as if he understood something. He said earnestly, Xiaoyun, don't listen to those people's nonsense. Even if you have a younger brother or sister, your parents will not abandon you. There is an order of seniority. You are the elder sister and you came to our family first, just like queuing to buy tickets. We always have to pay attention to first come first served. Until later, Dad's words were always remembered. I used it to educate my 2 children, to raise the young in an orderly manner, not to respect men over women. They can no longer say that they don't want to go to school. Only by reading hard can they learn. My mother also saw the cut on my hand, took my hand and blew on it, and our family laughed happily. Later I learned that my mother's cut was not congenital. When she followed my father to build a house for others, she fell from a 3-meter-high shelf and hit her head. The owner paid 2,000 yuan in compensation. After my uncle came, he got very angry at my father and scolded him for an hour, but he didn't mention anything about treating my mother. My father kept saying that it was my fault and I would treat him. My uncle took the 2,000 yuan compensation and took my mother back with blood on her head. My father was reluctant to let her go, but he thought that he was my mother's biological brother, and he couldn't just ignore him. But their consciences were really eaten by dogs. My uncle spent his days in debauchery, eating, drinking, whoring and gambling. My aunt didn't like my mother and either beat or scolded her. And finally all the compensation money was spent, and my mother's illness was not cured. 2 years later my crazy mother was sent back. My biological father still regretted it. If he had been firmer at the time, my mother would not become like this. From then on my father said nothing to let me pick sour jujubes. He forced me to read the books over and over again. If I didn't understand what the teacher said, I would ask after class. I went from not understanding addition and subtraction to being ranked among the top in the class when I was promoted. My biological mother's younger brother was already 1 year old. I don't know where they heard that the city practiced drawing lots, so they held a grand birthday banquet like the enthronement of a prince. My biological mother filled the banquet with pens, ink, paper, inkstone, abacus, seals, etc. The whole family was eager to stuff them into his hands. He was raised to be fat, with a big head and short body, and he didn't take anything, but stared at the bowl of braised pork in the second sister's hand. The second sister was used to giving her everything, so he tried to please her and took it. When he stepped forward he was grabbed and knocked over, and got several big blisters on his legs. The second sister was I was severely beaten up. The biased parents always protect their precious son. When I met my second sister at school, the bruises on her face were still there. They avoided me when they saw me. The town was not big and nothing could be hidden. People in the surrounding area knew that I was a child abandoned by my biological parents. Someone asked my biological mother why she insisted on abandoning Xiaoyun. Look, she is so sensible now. She is very useful in the old Ning family. Even that crazy mother has taught her to recognize a few words. The biological mother spitted at me. Wasn't it me who wanted to abandon her? The child was also careless. He ran away and never came back. He is an ungrateful person. He follows others because they are good to him. You see, selfish people will never feel ashamed. They take it for granted that they have done good deeds. The days in the fields always pass quickly. In a blink of an eye, I am about to graduate from elementary school. My mother gave birth to a younger brother, but he didn't take good care of him. My younger brother always got bumps or cried because of hunger, and his clothes were all too small for me. The clothes he wore were cut and recut, and his colorful pants looked particularly funny on him. When he went to school, his father locked the house to prevent him and his mother from running out. Every day after school, I could always see his small figure peeking out through the crack of the door. I held my younger brother and taught him to count and recite poems. My mother was busy in the house or cooking. My mother was in much better spirits than before, and could handle all the daily chores at home, but my father still didn't let him go out as he couldn't cope with the family matters. After entering junior high school, time became more and more tight. My head teacher, Mr. Wang, was a young man. During his 5 years of teaching in the countryside, he always said to me earnestly, Xiaoyun, you can only go out if you study hard. I know that rural education is lacking, but I don't want to be trapped in this cage. If I go out, the world is right in front of me. In the village, the world is right in front of me. I know that if I fail to get into high school, even if my father favors me, my fate will probably be the same as my second sister. I don't want to live such a life. After all, my second sister is in junior high school. I didn't finish high school. I heard that I went to the south where the salary is high, and I can work on the assembly line for more than 10 hours. My biological mother found a marriage for him. The other party offered a dowry of 100,000 yuan, but the other party would blind one of his eyes. I packed a few clothes and jumped out of the window at night to escape. But my second sister was only 15 years old. I started to study hard. I sorted out the questions I didn't know and went to find teacher Wang. When the get out of class was over, my desk was full of bugs and my books were scratched. People around me were full of ridicule. You still want to go to high school? What kind of dream are you having? My parents said that it doesn't matter if you don't pass the exam. You can earn 1,000 yuan a month by working outside. Your father can't earn 1,000 yuan a year, right? It's ridiculous, right? Mice never think that their things are stolen, and flies never think they are dirty. In the crow's world, they are wrong. My younger brother Xiaojun is already in elementary school, 1 grade younger than my biological mother's son. He finishes school early and stands at the school gate every day. He would wait for me to go home together. I often saw him lying on the stone steps from a distance doing his homework. Sometimes he couldn't figure out a number, so he would count on his fingers. When I called him, he would run towards me quickly, like a cheering little monkey. For several days in a row, Xiaojun always found excuses not to wait for me to go home. I vaguely felt that something was wrong. During the last self-study class, I quietly slipped out of the school gate and saw Xiaojun surrounded by a group of boys. They tore Xiaojun's clothes, made him bark like a dog, took off their pants and urinated on him, and finally ordered Xiaojun to stand on the wall as a human target. They took darts bought from the canteen, which cost 2 cents each, and threw them at him. There was no place on the wall where the darts could be inserted. The darts pierced his flesh again and again. Xiaobao from the Shengmu family clapped his hands. Xiaojun was born thinner than other children, and his mother didn't take good care of him. He looked a lot shorter than his peers. He was dark and thin, and at this moment he was helpless and desperate. They pointed darts at his eyes. My heart was so nervous that it reached my throat. I found a stick as thick as my wrist and rushed over aggressively, hitting them with the stick. Several children let out earth-shaking ghost howls. I will tell my mother, you are crazy. I grabbed Xiaobao from my biological mother's family, pulled up the collar, and slapped him in the face left and right, one after another. Dare to let me tear your mouth apart. If you dare to touch Xiaojun in the future, I will beat you every time I see you. Aunt Zhang's son wanted to escape. I screamed and he tripped and fell. I took the opportunity to sit on him, held down his hand. Xiaojun took a dart and stabbed him. Xiaojun rushed at him with all his strength and his hand was stabbed. When the biological mother arrived, there was chaos, and when she saw her son being beaten, she came up to scratch me angrily. Ning Xiaoyun, don't think that just because you are surnamed Ning, you have forgotten whose belly you crawled out of. Even if your bones are broken, you are still my daughter. I have never seen your elbow turn outward. Your own brother can do it. I don't know where I got the strength to fight with him, and picked up a brick to hit him on the head. I say it again, he is not my brother. If you call me that again, I will kill you too. To me, you are a lunatic just like my mother. It is not against the law to beat you to death when I go crazy. Perhaps it was the last sentence that scared him. The biological mother loosened her hand and ran away with her son in shame. The rest of the children scattered. When the cold wind blew, I realized that my back was soaked with sweat. Xiaojun burst into tears at this time. I took him home by the hand. Xiaojun, remember, if someone bullies you again, fight back. Sister, your neck is bleeding. My biological mother scratched my neck, and blood was flowing. I didn't have time to treat the wound and continued to ask Xiaojun, remember, only when you are strong, others will not bully you and can protect the people you love. Xiaojun nodded heavily. Xiaojun and I tacitly did not tell Dad about this. Mom and Dad have worked very hard, and I can't let him. I'm worried. Dad hasn't been plowing the land for others for a long time. In recent years, more and more people have gone out to work, and there are not as many people farming as before. Dad found a factory to load stones. He loaded large pieces of stones from the mining factory onto the tractor and pulled them into the crusher. I don't know how many thousand kilograms he loads every day. The happiest thing for Dad is the day to get paid. Give me the Jigong book, Xiaoyun, and do the math for Dad. Dad's handwriting is crooked, and the thin paper is soaked with sweat. Looking at the densely packed words, my heart aches. After the last trouble, the foreman now pays less. Why do you pay Dad less? I've calculated it. It's obviously 523 yuan. Give us 3 yuan, or I'll shout at your door every day to see who dares to work for you. Dad didn't say anything, but I saw the moisture in his eyes. On the way back, he used the 3 yuan to buy 3 lollipops and some sausages. Xiaoyun knew he had stood up for Dad. In the blink of an eye, it was the 3rd year of junior high school. Teacher Wang found a few sets of mock questions. From the county, I got some mock exam questions from the school, and you can take them and try them out. We won't delay class time. But unfortunately, very few people ask him to take them. Ning Xiaoyun, give them to me after you finish. If you read them wrong, I'll explain them to you again. She stayed in the head teacher's office almost all the time after school, and said bad things about me unscrupulously. I don't know what Xiaoyun will become. She wants to turn into a phoenix. She can just dream on. She said she was with that head teacher every day, and 80% of them are dating. She's in love, but she's just a cheap bone. She's just the life of giving herself away. Be careful that you get pregnant one day. These words reached Teacher Wang's ears, and I felt very sorry. Ning Xiaoyun, this is why I won't stay in the village to teach. It doesn't matter. The innocent will be innocent. Don't think about anything and concentrate on preparing for the exam. I feel that time is like water in a sponge, coming out little by little. The high school entrance examination is not that important to other students, but for me, it is the first fork in my life. It was especially important. On the day of the exam, the cicadas outside the window were chirping tirelessly. I was writing furiously, the tip of my pen scratching the test paper. The rustling sound was particularly pleasant, and then there was a long wait. I locked myself in the room, unable to do anything. The aunts and grandmas in the village were all talking about it. Xiaoyun must have failed the exam. You see, she didn't even leave the house. Her tone was full of disdain. If she could pass the exam, even pigs can climb trees. Teacher Wang called the village store. The owner of the store hurried over to call me. Xiaoyun, you got into number 1 middle school. Did you really get in? The head teacher's voice was mixed with telephone electricity. The crackling sound of electricity. Ning Xiaoyun, you got in. There are 3 people in our school who got in. You are the first. Number 1, ranked 78th in the county. I didn't expect that I could rank in the county. I know the teaching quality of the middle schools in the county. I don't know how many times better it is than here. Ning Xiaoyun will go to the school to get the notice on Monday. Ning Xiaoyun, are you there? I know, teacher. After I answered the teacher's words, I ran to my father's gravel yard quickly. My slippers were thrown off several times along the way. I felt my face was wet. I moved my hands. I didn't know if it was sweat or tears. My father was loading stones onto the tractor. I shouted at him, Dad. I was admitted to the number 1 middle school in the county. Dad put down the shovel as if he had expected it and wiped his sweat. My Xiaoyun is amazing. Dad happily distributed cigarettes to the workers around him. Go back early today. My girlfriend, my daughter passed the exam, and I got on my father's bicycle. The words of the workers floated into my ears. They said that the old Ning family would not want Xiaoyun anymore when she has a promising future. In my opinion, there is no point in studying for a girl. She should just get married early. Lao Zhang, I think you are thinking about your own son. Everyone laughed. My father was stunned. He pedaled the bicycle hard without looking back. I don't understand. They were obviously still holding the cigarette that my father had just smoked, but they said the most hurtful words. My heart was sour and bitter. I seemed to be talking to myself. Dad, I won't ignore you. Dad, I will take you and Mom to see the big city. Dad nodded vigorously. The mountain road dyed by the sunset was difficult to walk on. Our shadows were stretched very long. Later, I walked this road many times, as the seasons change and the stars shift. This crumbling sunset is the brightest dawn of my life. I don't even have a decent piece of clothing, let alone tuition and travel expenses. All in all, it costs more than 1,600 yuan. My father doesn't complain, but a whole bag of dry tobacco has burned his hair white. My uncle's family has never had any contact with me, so I can't ask for help. The neighbors nearby can only borrow 10 or 8 yuan. The light bulb at home has been burned out for a long time and has not been replaced. Xiaojun is growing fast, and it's time to add clothes. He can't pick up what I leave. People say that we are so poor that we have to sell everything we have, but my family is penniless. This sentence sounds ridiculous. My mother sat on the doorstep, pointing at the pigs that my father had raised in the pigpen for half a year and said, "Sold the pig and let Xiaoyun go to school." Finally, Dad advanced half a year's salary in the farm, plus the sale of the half-grown pig, and barely made up enough for the tuition. Dad handed the stack of money to me, and Xiaoyun could study without worrying about anything else. I also felt heavy and packed my bags with all my belongings. I could only make up my mind to work harder and be worthy of my parents' efforts. On that day, Dad sent me to the town, and I took the bus to the county town alone. Xiaoyun, take care of yourself when you go to the county. Eat more and don't worry about home. Dad will come to see you when he is free. Dad has never said so many words. He took out 2 sausages and stuffed them into my hands. Eat on the way and the car started. The dust was flying, sweeping away Dad's figure. I looked at this barren land, Dad's increasingly blurred figure. Tears fell heavily to the ground. High school study was more strenuous than I thought. Poverty, inferiority and pressure made me breathless. Some people could get the top few in the grade without attending classes. Some people had already learned the knowledge of the second year of high school. And some people were ready to take special recruitment since the first year of high school. They were blessed by nature. My consciousness was still in junior high school. I only learned knowledge from books. Everyone went home on weekends, but I waited for the dormitory aunt to check the room, hid in the toilet and locked the room, and then sneaked to the dormitory. The water and electricity were cut off at night. I practiced questions page by page with a flashlight. The wild cats outside the window were screaming creepy. It was cold in winter. The cold was bone-chilling. I wrapped myself in a quilt to keep out the cold. I bought 2 big steamed buns and cooked them with water for 2 days. When Danden's mother, who lived in the same dormitory, came to see him off on weekends, she caught me eating cold steamed buns a few times. The next time she came, she brought a big bag of milk and bread. The aunt took care of my sensitive self-esteem. If we couldn't finish the food at home, you could help Danden eat some to fill our stomachs so that the weekend would not be so difficult. At the final exam, my score dropped to the lowest record, 199th in the grade. You should know that there are only about 400 people in our entire grade, and only about 80 people are admitted to undergraduate programs every year, which is more than 100 points lower than the entrance examination. I began to doubt that I was just an ordinary grain of sand in the sand pile. How could I yearn to become gold? Even the big most people can't compare to me, so how can I stand out? Just give up. There's nothing wrong with going with the flow. Every time Dad comes to see me and asks about my grades, I feel guilty and dare not answer. Fortunately, the market that can keep up with Dad's work has closed down. Illegal quarrying is illegal, and the country has begun to strengthen management in this area. Dad found an orchard to collect fruits and sell them in town every day, barely making a living. Dad took me to the store and asked for a bowl of noodles. He took out a few cold buns, the buns your mother brought me. Mom can steam buns now. I was surprised and happy. I wanted to try it too. Dad kept dodging. I snatched it and took a bite. It was full of cabbage without any meat. I took the bowl and transferred half a bowl of noodles. Dad, you should eat noodles too. I often eat at school, so I just want to try the food at home. My father has more and more white hair. The camouflage shoes on his feet were bought when I was in junior high school. I have to save the money from selling fruits for half a month to save enough for my living expenses. If I continue to live in a muddle-headed way, I can see the end of my life at a glance. Even if I find a not-so-bad in-law family, give a decent betrothal gift, take care of my husband and children, and go with the flow, is this how I repay my parents after studying for more than 10 years? In more than a year of high school, I have never been as clear-headed as I am at this moment. I can't go on like this. In the second year of high school, I am facing the selection of subjects in class division. The school has begun to emphasize science over liberal arts. I hesitated for a long time. In fact, most of my loss points are in science. If I give up science, my grades will improve further. But everyone says that science majors are easier to find jobs and earn more money. At that time, my homeroom teacher was a chemistry teacher. He wanted to suggest that all of us should choose science. Those who chose liberal arts were idiots and would have no future. The balance in my heart was swaying back and forth. Suddenly, Mr. Wang, my homeroom teacher in junior high school, found out about me and sent me some books and stationery. Through the iron railings, I saw him from afar. Ning Xiaoyun was transferred to the County Experimental Middle School and has been working there for a month. That's great. Congratulations. Mr. Wang looked full of energy and vigor, completely different from when he was in the village. As expected, people are in high spirits when they are happy. I told him about my inner struggle. Ning Xiaoyun. First of all, you have to choose yourself. In the field where you are good at, don't think about future employment or how much money you can make in the future. At this time, you are still struggling in the water. You must get ashore first to save your life. Teacher Wang's words are like a revelation. Yes, my goal is to get into college first. If I only consider the overall environment and ignore my own conditions, it will be more trouble than gain. Then he said, but if you choose liberal arts to make yourself feel more relaxed, I advise you to give up this idea. It is not shameful to study liberal arts, and it is definitely not as easy as others say. There is no easy thing in studying. Once the string is broken, you will be discouraged. It is more satisfying to make the decision. I began to give up some science subjects and spent most of my time on reciting and practicing questions. In the early morning at 5 o'clock, I would drink a big cup of hot water from the boiling water room and recite while covering my hands. At 6:30, I had already finished a set of mock tests when others arrived in the classroom. The light of the flashlight in the den stayed on until late at night, and there was always a vocabulary book in my pocket. I finally got 82nd in the grade in the final exam of my second year of high school, which was a full improvement of 100 places. When I went home during the summer vacation, my father asked about my grades, and I could finally answer loudly. When my biological father knew it, he was calm and composed. He said, "You are worthy of being the daughter of our Jiao family. You are so smart. You can't refuse to admit it. If Xiaoyun can get into college, then our Xiaobao will go to Tsinghua University or Peking University. Others joke that Xiaoyun didn't recognize you, but you didn't control me. How could you not recognize me for one day? How could a child not recognize his father? I recognize him. Your grandma's legs." Before the summer vacation, I asked my senior sister who had graduated from high school for a large amount of study materials. Dad loaded a whole cart with a tricycle, and I pushed it from the back to carry it home. Dad asked if it was heavy. It was not heavy, much lighter than a cart of apples. Dad answered easily. He had long been accustomed to this weight. A cart of apples every day was several times heavier than this. It turned out that life was much harder than studying. During the summer vacation, children of my age were doing farm work, plowing the fields, cutting grass and harvesting wheat. Dad never ordered me to do it. Now he takes mom and younger brother with him when he works. Mom is getting stronger and stronger and can even work in the fields. People on the road laugh at them, saying that your daughter is so lucky. She doesn't have to do any work, but she orders your son to do it, and he is as tired as a donkey. Yes, Xiaojun told them that my sister had serious things to do, and I was stronger than him. I was so ashamed that I could only study day and night. There was no electric fan at home, and it was so hot in the dog days that there was not even a breeze. After a while I was sweating all over. I drew a stream of water from the well and poured it over my head, and continued to study. In the blink of an eye, it was the second semester of senior year. My name was always around 50th. No matter how hard I tried, it would be difficult to surpass it. There were only 120 days left to the college entrance examination. The battle was imminent, and everyone showed their magical powers. Some began to hire private teachers for one-on-one tutoring, some had been admitted, and some were looking for educational institutions to study individual recruitment. Every day, there were students who took leave to practice their special skills. I looked at the seat that had been empty for a day. I can't describe the feeling in my heart. Dandan also chose liberal arts and was in the same class with me. He had decided to become a dance specialty student. In addition to dance classes every week, his mother also hired a tutor for him, saying that it was 100 yuan an hour. Dandan complained to me, "Do you know how annoying that teacher is? He speaks very slowly, and even dogs will fall asleep after listening to him. Only my mother, who is such a sucker, believes him." She also said that he has been teaching the graduating class for 15 years. She turned around and saw my envious eyes. "Xiaoyun, that's not what I meant. It's okay, you have to work harder. It's really okay. I envy but never jealous of her. I hope she will always be her mother's little princess." When Dandan came, she threw me a recorder. The teacher said, "I have recorded all the contents, you can listen to them over and over again." When everyone is afraid that you can learn more, there are not many people as generous as Dandan. I am so excited that I don't know what to do. My words of thanks seem too light. Okay, don't be sentimental, I can't stand it. This thing is precious. Please treat me to a meal in the future. I listened to the contents of the recorder over and over again. The teacher's lectures are really good. He understands many obscure knowledge points. I sorted out the things I didn't know, and gave them to the private teacher to explain on weekends. Relying on this recording, I listened to the difficult things over and over again, digested and absorbed them, and I was like the wheat seedlings in the field. After every rain, they grew vigorously. The college entrance examination came as expected. After the exam, everyone lied to me. I breathed a sigh of relief and said goodbye to my high school life. My name was still on the excellence list in the corridor. The climbing stone at the school gate was still standing tall. I don't know how many students have been sent away. At the door of the classroom, I don't know when the swallows made their homes. I never paid attention to these and always ran forward in a hurry. On the day the results were announced, it happened to be the temple fair in our village. Every household set up tables in the yard and offered statues of gods. My father took me to the village chief's house to get the results. The system was busy, the web pages kept turning and couldn't be opened, and the men who were drinking and playing cards outside also quieted down. My heart was in my throat. Chinese 128, Mathematics 122, English 126, Liberal Arts 230, Total score 599 that year. The first tier score for liberal arts was 536. Dad patted my shoulders heavily with shaking hands. The village chief rarely invited Dad to stay for dinner. Dad was not good at socializing and could not handle such occasions. When I went out, my back was much straighter. I applied for a 985 university in the province. Based on the suggestions of teacher Wang and Danden's mother, I chose law as my major. In this poor and remote area full of jackals and tigers, people do not understand the law, reject the law, but also respect the law. After my biological mother knew the news, my biological father brought a chicken home, and I knew that Xiaoyun would definitely pass the exam. When you become successful, don't forget to help your brother. Xiaoyun's birthday is coming soon, so I will kill a chicken to nourish your body. I don't know, how could he say these words with such audacity? You must have remembered it wrongly. My birthday is not the 8th of May. You were born by me. How could I have remembered it wrongly? My birthday is the 10th of October. My biological mother smiled slyly. Of course she remembered it. On the 10th of October, I almost froze to death in the mountains. I didn't know what happened to my mother. She picked up a stone and threw it at my biological mother. She couldn't dodge it and was hit on the forehead. My biological father started to curse. You crazy woman, I will kill you if I don't. My mother seemed to be stimulated. Her eyes were bloodshot. She was like an old hen protecting her cubs, waving the shovel around. Xiaojun came back at this time and stood in front of my mother. Get out with your things. If you come to my house again, I will break your legs. He grabbed his biological father and punched him in the stomach again and again. The skinny little monkey I protected back then has now grown into an adult. His biological parents fled in panic, and when they left, they did not forget to speak wildly. Ning Xiaoyun, you ungrateful thing, you will be punished. I combed my mother's hair and comforted her like a child, saying, Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Xiaoyun is your daughter. In the future, I will take you to see a doctor, take a train, and see tall buildings. Mother gradually calmed down and smiled. At the dinner table, Xiaojun proposed to drop out of school. He was about to graduate from junior high school, and his grades were not very good. His parents meant that since he was not cut out for studying, he should not waste that time. I have no money and my university tuition is tight. He also wanted to do something, but I firmly refused. Now the country has student loans. I will ask teacher Wang about the application policy first. I can also work part-time in college and don't have to worry about my living expenses. Xiaojun is only in the 2nd grade of junior high school. He should finish junior high school first. If he can't do it, he can learn some skills. On the day the notice was delivered, I was helping my father thresh wheat. Remember to throw in the wheat bran. The wheat bran was flying all over the sky. The postman shouted 3 times who was Ning Xiaoyun. I took the notice and saw his incredible face. I gave him a thumbs up and praised him. He took out his camera and took a picture of me. Good job, girl. This photo was later published in our local newspaper. It turned out that this uncle was the post office, the director of the bureau, and then the president of the university contacted me and said that the school could help apply for student loans and would give a part of living allowance to ensure that I could graduate smoothly. This was undoubtedly the best news for us. When I left home, my mother used the cotton she had saved from half an acre of land to make a thick new quilt. The long and short stitches were like a centipede. My most valuable possession was on the road to study again, and I was getting farther and farther away from my hometown. My family sent me off again and again. My father was taciturn and my mother was unable to express herself. They lifted me up with their silent love. I took their beloved concubine to the sky and the sea and prayed, Time, please slow down a little, and when I grow up, my parents are getting old and I will be their wings. Their eyes, their support. College days are very busy, school days are busy shuttling between classrooms, off-campus days are busy with multiple part-time jobs. I can finally have enough food to eat without having to look for a home, and no longer have to ask for money. There are many opportunities in the city, fast food restaurants and supermarkets are opening, and you can always fill your stomach by staying for a few hours during the store celebrations. During this period there were also boys' hobbies, but I refused. I was too busy to have time for dating, and too poor. Except for my young body, I have nothing to give back. I don't want to be like this, and gradually everyone knows that compared to love, I prefer making money. Dandan was admitted to Beijing, his dream school. Sometimes we would talk on the phone, and after 3 rings he would hang up and call me back. You are so poor, I will save some phone bills for you. Xiaoyun, if I hadn't been influenced by you in high school, I really might not have been able to get here. What he says is always flawless and comfortable to listen to. A truly wealthy person is bright but not dazzling, confident and restrained, and never blows out other people's lights when he shines. Dandan, I still owe you a meal, okay? When you make money, treat me to a good meal. After graduating from junior high school, Xiaojun went to a technical school and chose auto repair. The 3 most popular industries for poor families are auto repair, hairdressing, and chef. Xiaojun has no talent for learning, but he is active in mind, quick in hands and eyes, and he can rely on himself in the future by learning some skills. 4-wheeled cars were not popular at that time, but families sneered at them and few people drove. If he learns to repair cars, he will starve to death. I think the Ning family has money to burn. They don't know their own weight after supporting a college student. If he has no future, they should stop spending money. You are a grown man now, and you are thinking about making money to marry a wife. Do you want to rely on your parents? Xiaowan was so angry that she called me to complain. Sister, I will not study anymore. I have to study. You have to listen to me. If the tuition is not enough, I will make up the money for you. Dad said that the owner of the fruit orchard bought another piece of land and gave this old orchard to Dad to take care of. Dad no longer has to run around selling fruits all day. I saved money from my part-time job to install a landline phone at home. At that time, mobile phones were already common, but Dad thought it was inconvenient to carry it with him. There was only signal on the top of the mountain, and it was not very good. It was convenient. I was about to graduate from college and I was in a dilemma about whether to take the civil service exam or the postgraduate entrance exam. Zhang Wei, my senior at that time and my later boyfriend, found out about it and helped me analyze the situation rationally. If I wanted to change my fate and have a stable job, I should take the civil service exam and study law. My husband would be less competitive. If I wanted to earn more money, I should take the postgraduate entrance exam. It would be very advantageous to join a law firm with a higher ranking. I thought about it for a long time and started to prepare for the postgraduate entrance exam. I knew his intentions but had no way to repay him. I found a clerk job in a law firm, started to audit cases, and started to prepare for the lawyer qualification exam. After graduation, Xiaojun was assigned to a car repair shop. He lay under the car every day and worked all day. He felt like he had fallen into a coal mine. In the house, but he is willing to endure hardships and never takes private work. Clients and leaders have praised him again and again. After I graduated from graduate school, I got an offer from a well-known law firm. One morning, the office door was pushed open, and I saw the familiar face of my biological mother. She had aged a lot. I don't know how she found me. She was at a loss in front of the bright office. Xiaoyun, please help your brother. He is addicted to online games all day long. I really have no choice. Don't blame your mother for being cruel. Back then your mother had no choice either. Sister Zhou in the office couldn't stand it anymore. Big sister, you were the one who threw Xiaoyun away, and now you are licking her face. You are so grown up, aren't you ashamed? This is called abandonment, do you know that? Xiaoyun didn't sue you. You are wrong. The cases he is representing now have prices starting from 4 figures. The biological mother's face turned red and white. I really want to give Zhou Jia a thumbs up. He got rid of him for me with just 3 sentences. Of course I will not sue them. To deal with such people, as Sister Zhou said, let them feel guilty forever, regret forever, and be worried forever. They will never dare to look for their parents. It is the most troublesome and more painful than suing. During the Chinese New Year, Xiao Tao alarmed a used car and drove it back. Everyone was envious, except for the delivery trucks outside. No one has seen a 4-wheeled car. He ran into the village. Xiaojun is very promising. Can you take me for a ride? Will I feel dizzy sitting in the car? Does it drive like a train? Xiaojun, I took my parents to the town to attend the big market and bought New Year's goods. We bought carp, pork, candy, roast chicken elbows, bought new clothes for my parents, and bought couplets and 2 big red lanterns. My father opened the window and talked to everyone who passed by. I sat in the back seat. I have never seen my parents so proud. Xiaojun, you got this car legally. My dear sister, you really have an occupational disease. Did I steal it? This is a guest of mine. The car was replaced with a new one and was parked in the repair shop, so I bought it. The New Year's Eve dinner was particularly lively. When we were setting off fireworks on New Year's Eve, Zhang Wei called and said, "Happy New Year, Xiaoyan, and Happy New Year to you too." I picked up the fireworks stick and waved it vigorously. "Xiaoyun, please be my girlfriend. You are really good. Let me protect you in the future. I have contacted the hospital. After the Chinese New Year, I will go to Beijing to see my aunt. I have booked the tickets. You can bring your uncle with you." I covered my mouth and tried not to cry out loud. It turned out that he understood everything. When 2 people live together, they always rely on trust. I have never hidden my life experience, but he is so frank, but I rarely refuse. "It's okay, just treat him as a friend." I agreed. At the first crackling sound of the New Year's cannon, I heard his cheers. Then I took my parents to Beijing. After seeing a well-known expert, the doctor praised that he had been dead for so many years. It was simply a medical miracle. When Chunyang was hit, and the blood clots on her head had turned into blood clots. If the blood clots spread and blocked the nerves, it would be fatal. The doctor prescribed some medicine and we will observe the situation in the future. Dad wanted to renovate our house. I had beaten Aunt Zhang's son before, and they held a grudge against me. When the Zhang family rebuilt their house in my senior year of high school, they occupied half an acre of land behind my house. Dad was so angry that he argued with them, but was beaten by Zhang. I only found out about all this later. I took out the savings of the past 2 years, a total of 150,000 yuan, and Dad built a 2-story building. Aunt Zhang went to the village cadres and said that it blocked the light from her house. The village secretary let her make a fuss for a long time, and slowly said that Aunt Zhang was almost done. "You occupied someone else's mother's homestead. It's good that I didn't sue you." In the first year after I started working, I funded the repair of the muddy dirt road in the village. Village cadres would give way to my father when they saw him. It's not good to bully people, but sometimes it feels great. The mud houses were demolished and everything was packed up. I watched my youth being pushed away bit by bit, and all the pain, humiliation, injury and suffering were buried, but the love was always there. A new small Western-style building was soon built. Dad went to the orchard every day to kill insects, spray pesticides and put backs. Everyone advised him not to do it, but he just couldn't sit still. Mom was the kindest old lady in the village. Aunt Zhonglei and the elder sister sat together, discussing this and that. He never interrupted because Mom had no idea what they were talking about. There was only a group of children around him sharing the candy in his pocket. Xiaojun bought a repair shop and prepared to work alone. He devoted himself to his career and had no intention of finding a partner. I officially took Zhang Wei back. That day, he secretly prepared an electric tricycle for Dad. Dad was completely won over by him. Mom and Dad began to become nagging, often complaining to me on the phone for an hour. I used to hope that time would go faster so that I could grow up and repay them. Now I am more greedy and hope that time would go slower so that I can accompany them until they are 100 years old. The people I love and the people who love me, you all have to be well. The full text is finished.